dress, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, am I really, like, I was like, am I really getting arrested right now? I decided to go to UNT. That was the school I decided to move to. I was like, you know, it's close to Dallas, more opportunities, you know, different environment. So I remember that summer I went home, I applied to UNT, I got in, I was just so excited to go. I remember that summer I worked 2 jobs, so I naturally lost the weight because I was like always just moving around, so I dropped the little extra weight that I had gained. I went to UNT in the spring of 2012. Things were just looking up just because I knew that I was getting like a fresh start somewhere. I have a roommate. I moved into like a off-campus like student apartment, and I remember I had the most bomb roommate. Oh my God, like we hit it off from jump. So I had her. I remember a lot of people that I went to high school with that I wasn't necessarily close with, like went to the same school, so I connected with them. You know, so I was meeting like new people, new school. I changed my major to merchandising. Okay, so UNT is going good. Me and my friend, after my first apartment, me and my friend decided to get an apartment together. So we live together now, everything's good. I started working at Ulta. I actually transferred, you know, I worked at Ulta in my hometown, then I transferred to the Ulta where my college town is. So I was working at Ulta. So you guys know if you're in college, like, and you take out loans and stuff, sometimes you'll get a refund check. So when I would get my refund check, what it was supposed to go to was towards my rent, you know, for the apartment. I made the mistake, financial mistakes start happening. College was just nothing but lessons, man. So I made the mistake of spending my refund check early. You know, I hadn't paid all my rent, spent it early. So now I'm having to pay my rent on my own. And mind you, I know a lot of people are like, so what? I pay rent. But this is like a young college person who hasn't ever had to pay rent before. You know, has had like little rinky-dinky part-time jobs and having to pay rent now. So that was my fault, but I had the pressure of like having to cough up that money every month. So I had to work more. At that time, I was also on food stamps. I was so broke sometimes that I would literally shop at the Dollar Tree for groceries. Like I was that broke. I donated plasma. Like the people at the plasma center knew my name because I was there every week, and they give you like $50 a week for it. But y'all, I needed every little bit of money that I could get. So I'm just painting the picture. Mind you, I'm a full-time college student, so I have like work. I have work like to make money. I have schoolwork, projects, hella projects, like just a lot going on. And let's not forget, okay, so mind you, back at PV, when I was a sophomore, I basically screwed my GPA up. I mean, it went from a 3.8 to like a 2 point something because I literally just didn't go to class. So yeah, that was my fault. I remember UNT, they gave me a notice and they were like, your GPA is low. They're like, if you don't get your GPA up to a certain point, then you basically are going to lose your financial aid. Well, if I don't have financial aid, guess what? I'm not going to school because that's the only way I was able to afford school. So the pressure was on, y'all. The pressure was on from every element. You know, I'm on food stamps, which it was actually nice. They gave me a lot of money, but I actually needed it. And to qualify for it, I think I had to be a college student and I had to work a certain amount of hours. So that was a blessing during that little time period when I had that. I did have food stamps. At that time, I'm just dealing with a lot. Like I have a lot of pressure on me to keep my grades up so I can get my GPA up. I'm at a new school and a new major. You know, I'm having to work more hours and balance, you know, keeping my grades up. So it was just a lot of pressure that I wasn't used to dealing with. Here's where anxiety comes into the story. So I had been through a little bit of depression before, but at that point in my life, I was good. I was pretty much happy for the most part. I will never forget this. Both my roommates are at work. It's just me at home by myself. I'm up studying for my textiles test that I want to say I made an A on the test. But anyways, reviewing before my test. And then I remember I had a cup of coffee. Then I decided to get another cup of coffee. And I remember I was in the middle of studying and my heart just starts like beating. It literally was like this. No joke. So I'm like, like this is weird. Let me stop studying. I'm like, maybe I need to just lay down or something, or just like be still. Now I'm starting to like kind of hyperventilate. I'm like, you know, like I can't breathe. I'm like starting to get to the point where I can't breathe, and I'm just like, oh my God, like am I about to die? Like am I having a heart attack? Like what is happening to me right now? So guess who I call? Good old mom. So I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like my heart is beating really fast. I can't breathe. And she's like, well, Savannah, like I'm this many miles away. What am I like do you need to call 911? Do I need to call 911? Like who's there? I'm like, nobody else is here with me. And she's like, well, hey, she's like, I can't do anything from where I'm at. She was like, if you can't walk down to I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, walk to she wanted me to walk to like my apartment's management place where people were in the office. So this is embarrassing because like at the apartment, I lived in student apartments off campus. So where I lived, like a lot of the like leasing agents and people that worked in the office of the apartments were also students. So like they were there, and there was this really cute guy. He was there. Oh, he was the alpha. Anyways, he was there, and you know, I'm in here like like freaking out. He's like looking like, are you okay? Is everything okay, Savannah? I'm like, I don't know, something's happening, but I'm just in here in case like I fall out or something. And he's just like, okay, sit down, chill. Oh. So embarrassing. So I ended up hanging up with my mom, and then I ended up calling my best friend, who was my roommate at the time. So I call her. She works on campus at the time. She leaves her job to come help me deal with whatever I'm going through. She finally comes and she helps me, calms me down, and she's like, Savannah, she's like, I think you had an anxiety attack or like a panic attack. And I was like, what? I was like, no. You know, I was like, no. I was like, I've never had that before. And she's like, I think that's what you had. Like, I think that's what just happened. And I'm just like, oh my God, it was just the weirdest feeling ever. Y'all, it was like the scariest feeling ever. And I remember she was so sweet. Like she was like really there for me at that time. And I remember I was like, I can't take my test. Like I don't want to take my test anymore. And she's like, Savannah, I'll drop you off to take your test. Like, you know, you're gonna take that test and you're gonna do good. Like you studied for it, you got it. She dropped me off, I took the test, she picked me back up. I ended up making an A on it, and you know, it went well. But I really think where the anxiety came from was having all that pressure on me. And I didn't even realize that I was stressing out about it, but I was like, my body was like, we're stressed. And I just panicked. And I think a trigger for me is caffeine. I have to limit the amount of caffeine that I drink. Otherwise, I'll get jittery and I'll start worrying. I'll start freaking out. So that second cup of coffee, I think, is what triggered my anxiety. Now, I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert. But from my experience, coffee is a trigger for me. Too much caffeine is a trigger for me. So I ended up having my first anxiety panic attack, you know, and it was the scariest thing. And I remember from then on, like I would go to class and I would have those same feelings. Like I have like the symptoms that I would feel when I would know if I don't start breathing, I'm about to freak out. I would, you know, your chest will start beating. You'll start getting a short of breath. For me, I had the urge to use the bathroom. It was weird. You know, I might shake a little bit. So it was all those signs. And I remember I'd be in class, like just sitting there, nothing's happening, and I'd start feeling those feelings, and I'm like, what is this? It was so confusing. It was so confusing. So a few more times I did have some more panic attacks where I'm in like social settings. I remember we were having like a get together at our house and just chilling, and I start flipping out. All of a sudden I just start having a panic attack. I'm like, can't talk, like my friends are trying to calm me down. It was just a very like weird experience. Like it was the worst feeling ever. So the way that I got through that time period of like managing my anxiety, I still have it to this day. It hasn't gone anywhere, but that's like where it started and where I was having like full on panic attacks. But the way that I got through it was God. Y'all, my mom gave me this book, and it was like I think it was called My Little Book About Jesus, and it had like little like scriptures in it, but it would like break the scripture down if I'm not mistaken. So I would, just pray about everything. I would lay on my back. I would lay on the floor, and every night I would just be like, God, I'm releasing all my worries to you, because I'm not supposed to be worrying about all this. That's why I'm stressing out. Like, it sounds silly, but it really helped me. And then I learned to breathe. Whenever I started feeling those signs of, a panic attack coming on, I would just breathe, and that really helped me. And then just talking, like my friend painted it to me this way. She's like, it's all in your head. It's all here. So she was like, you need to just like talk to people, talk about something different, get your mind off of whatever you're worried about. And so that helped me out. So in the long run, I learned to manage it. But again, I still deal with it to this day. So that experience happens. I remember I went to the doctor. She was like, I can give you some pills, but I was like, no. I was so against being on pills. I'm like, no, I don't want anything. I don't want to have to rely on something to make me, be able to cope through life. This is just me. I'm not shading anyone who takes medication. Some people, like, I might need it, but I'm just scared. I don't want to get addicted to anything. It just scares me, the thought of having to take a pill for something and having it kind of control who you are. That's how I look at it. That's how I was looking at it. So I didn't accept medication. I was like, no, I'm gonna find another healthy way to cope through this, to deal with it. Some months passed. At the time, I'm working at Panera Bread, and I was really close to my coworkers. So we would go out together sometimes. There was these bars it was called Fry Street, and that's where you go to hang out, to drink, and it's literally right across the street from the campus. I lived off campus though, but I'm just trying to paint the picture for you guys, okay? So I remember that night, I didn't even want to go out. I was like, y'all, I do not want to go out. Don't want to go out. But a girl from my job, I think it was her last day, so she was having like a get together out, She was like, come out, come out. I was like, okay. And then one of my friends was in town, and he was like, Savannah, come out, come on. So I was like, okay, I'll go. So went to Fry Street, had a few drinks. Yeah, I drank, I'm not gonna lie. Had a few drinks. Was kind of feeling them there. But towards the end, like in the, just like the club closes at 2, the bars closed at 2. So at 2, bars were shutting down. By that time, I was feeling okay. I was always the type that I knew when I couldn't drive. So I felt fine. Like, I felt fine to drive. Mind you, I wear glasses and I can't see at night. The group I was with, we were going to our friend's house and I was gonna follow them. So get in my car, everything's going good. Like, where they lived was literally a straight shot and you had to make one turn. And I was like, okay. I didn't have my glasses that night either. So I can't really see that well at night, but if I know where I'm going, it's like I know the roads. So I'm driving, I'm following them. They're in front of me, my friends are in front of me, I'm behind them. And then I start to notice this is where things start going wrong, okay? So on the street that I'm driving on, it's just a straight shot, but there's one lane turns into a turning lane. And I was in the lane that turned into a turning lane. So I get out of that lane. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to turn. So I go back in the other lane that's going to still go straight. The cops, you know, okay, so we're the bars are right by the campus, okay? So the UNT police, they hanging around, they be looking for stuff, okay? I'm not trying to make excuses for, you know, drinking and driving. First off, I just want to say this, I'm going to finish my story too, but this is a huge lesson for me. Y'all, drinking and driving is not okay. Tipsy and driving is not okay. Period. I don't care if you're, I'm a better driver, I'm good. Like, even if you're good, like, if you get pulled over and you're over the legal limit, you're gonna get in trouble. So this is where my story is moving to, okay? So, mind you, I don't have my glasses. So I do, you know, I do that move where I kind of, like, I was in a turning lane, it turned into a turning lane, and I'm like, oh no, I want to go straight. So I go back in the lane that's just going to keep going straight. Well, the campus police, they're all, you know, they're looking for people because they know the bar just let out right by campus. Like, they're looking for people to get. So I noticed a police car is following me, and I'm like, oh my God, they're trying to pull me over. It took me like a second to realize too. I was like, I didn't realize that they were like following me, and I was like, okay, I need to pull over. And I was like, I don't want them to think I'm not, you know, I'm trying to run from them. So I was like, okay, I need to make the next turn I see, I'm turning. So I'm going straight. Mind you, they saw me do the little move, which they called it swerving. They're like, yeah, you swerved. And I'm like, I just was going into the wrong lane. Like, it was turning into a turning lane, and I was trying to still keep going straight. So I went, you know, I did do that little move. They called it swerving. So they're like, okay, they're on alert. They're like, okay, let's follow this girl, let's pull her over, make sure she's good. This is where it all starts to go downhill, baby. I'm telling you, it went downhill. Mind you, I don't have my glasses in my car. Can't really see that well at night. Can see, you know, if I know where I'm going, I'm good. But the cops are following me, so I have to pull over. I'm on a one-way street. So I'm like, let me turn. The first turn I see, I'm turning. So I turn left. I remember it like the back of my hand, because y'all, I wasn't drunk. I remember everything. So I turn, I make a left, and then I make a right. Mind you, where I went to school, there's tons of one-way streets. Quick little story. When I first moved when I went to that school, when I was going to orientation, around campus, there's just like a bunch of one-ways. In broad daylight, completely sober, I went down a one-way street. It happened a few times. So just painting a picture for you. So it's dark. I don't have my glasses. So I ended up on accident. I turned down. I make a right, not knowing it's a one-way street. Turn down a one-way street. I'm sure by then the cops think I'm just like lit, wasted. So, you know, I get pulled over. It's a lady cop. She comes up to me. You know, she's like, where are you coming from? I was like, oh, came from Fry Street. I'm not lying. I'm like, I have nothing to hide. You know, I'm not thinking anything real is about to go down. I'm just like, just be honest with her. I was nervous, but I was just like very calm. I was just like, you know, I wasn't going to lie to her. She knew where I came from, you know? So I was like, yeah, I just, you know, I just came from Fry Street. And she was like, okay, what did you have to drink? And I told her truthfully what I had to drink. And she was like, okay, you know, she took my license, did all that, came back. She asked me to step out the car, and it's her and another cop. They're there. So she tells me to step out the car. She starts making me do, you know, walk in a straight line, do all that stuff. I'm very calm, cool, collected. She's like complimenting me, like, you are just so calm and respectful, and like, you're doing great. Thank you. So I'm like, cool, like thinking maybe she's just gonna give me a little warning, give me a tick. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm not thinking you're about to get arrested. I'm just like, okay, cool. So she goes over there, talks to the cop, comes back and it's like, you're under arrest, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, am I really, like, I was like, am I really getting arrested right now? I was like, wait, no. Savannah is getting arrested. Like, you are, I was just like, what? You know, like, almost in disbelief, like, wow, you're really about to get arrested. Y'all, I start bawling. I start crying because I'm like, I'm just thinking about everything. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm really getting arrested. Like, what the, like, what? Y'all, I had never been in trouble in my life. Not like that. and I still am I'm a good person. I was a good kid. I never did anything like that. Like, I never got in situations to where I dealt with the police. Like, that wasn't me. So I was in like disbelief. Not only that, but two, because she was like, so it was like she was shocked. Like, I think she was, because I did, you know, turn down a one-way, I think she was honestly expecting me to be like wasted out of my mind, which it wasn't the case at all. Like, I'm telling you, I remember every little bit of that night. I remember everything. Okay, so it was Saturday night when I went out. It's now like it's like 3 in the morning by this point now. So it's Sunday now, technically. And I remember Sunday was Father's Day. So I didn't tell you guys, when my dad passed, he died from drinking and, well, I don't want to say he died from drinking and driving, but he was in a car accident. It was a 1-car accident. I don't know what happened. Only he knows, only him and God knows. But they did find alcohol in his car. So I, gonna assume that he was probably drinking. So his accident could have been from drunk driving. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't there. So I've kind of always known that, like, and kind of thought, like, my dad's accident could have stemmed from drinking and driving. And it was just so ironic that I'm sitting here getting arrested for a DWI, even though, I'm like, I'm not drunk, I'm fine, I'm good. But still, if you're over the legal limit, like, you're going to get in trouble, period. Like, I don't care how good you think you are, you're going to get in trouble, okay? So just don't do it. But I remember thinking, like, oh my God, tomorrow is Sunday, tomorrow's Father's Day, and how ironic, today is Father's Day, basically. Today's Father's Day, and I'm getting arrested for a DWI, and this is something that my dad this could have been the cause of his accident. Alcohol may have been involved in his accident. So I'm just sitting there like, wow. I ended up getting a DWI. They took me to the hospital, which was so weird. Like, I always thought they did the breathalyzer. They didn't do any breathalyzer on me. They took me to a hospital. They drew my blood. And then what they do is they send it to Austin and they test it. So then they took me to jail. It was like a holding cell. And I stayed in there for like 8 hours and got bailed out and dealt with a lot. So I ended up getting a DWI. I had to hire a lawyer. It was like, I think we paid him like, it was in the thousands. So I had to hire a lawyer. They paid, oh my God, they towed my car. So I had to pay to get my car towed. I had to pay the Bell's bondman, had to pay to get my car out of, it got towed. So I had to get my car out. Not only that, but I was on probation for, I think maybe a year, if I'm not mistaken. There was just, y'all, it was just a lot. Mind you, I'm just a college kid trying to make it. So not only can I barely afford, groceries or gas, I'm having to donate plasma. Now, on top of this, I have court fees. I have to pay an attorney. Luckily, my parents, thank God for them, they helped me out a lot. When you get a DWI, there's a lot of things that come with it. It's not over. It's not like, oh, I got a jail, now it's over. It's not over. You pay thousands and thousands of dollars in the end of all of it. Thankfully, that was years ago and it's behind me now, and I moved on, and I'm just a lot smarter. I'm a lot stronger from it. But man, it changed my life. I can say it changed my life completely. And I really, really think it was God somehow. I wasn't wild or anything, like, but it was God telling me something. Because it was just too much of a coincidence that, you know, the situation with my dad too, I was just like, God, he's trying to tell me something. He's trying to talk to me. This is his way of talking to me, you know, about, I don't know what it is, what he's trying to tell me exactly, but he's trying to tell me something. And I was like, I'm going to listen. I ended up having to go see a probation officer every month. You have to pay them money every time you see them. You have to do random drug tests. Not only did I have to deal with that, but then they notified the school. Like, I got pulled over by campus police. So at school, they made me go see a counselor. Like, I had to go one time, and then she like gave me this book about drinking and like alcoholism. And then I had to go to a counselor, not the campus counselor, but I had to go to another counselor. And they have to like they have to evaluate you and make sure that you're not like an alcoholic, which I'm not. And I was just like, oh my God, like, it was just a crazy experience. And then even during that time, there was a time period where you can't drive. I couldn't drive for 3 months. So I was having to ask people for rides. Like, it was just so much, y'all. It was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It was like costly. Like, it costs a lot of money. It just was hard. Like, you weren't supposed to go anywhere that served alcohol during that time. It was a hard time. I had to do community service. I mean, it was just a lot. In one way, it helped me because like I stopped doing some stuff that I was doing. Like, I never in my life would drink and drive again. I don't care. I just wasn't doing it. I was fearful of everything, you know. So it changed my life. That's all I can say. It changed my life. Some for the better, some for the worse. Because I think even though it helped me in some areas and changed me in some areas, not that I was a bad person or wild, but just, you know, it made me reevaluate my life and how I did some things. So I was like, you know what? We stopping all of that. We not doing none of that no more. Nope, 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 nope. But then on the other side, I think it kind of made me worse because I'm already an anxious person now. Like, I don't know, I'm dealing with this anxiety thing that I've never dealt with before. Now it's heightened because I am fearful of everything. It made me more of an anxious person. I was just like always worried that something bad was going to happen. It made my anxiety worse. And through the midst of going through all of that, the probation period that I was in, I didn't tell anybody I went to school with because I felt like they would judge me. So I kept that. Nobody knew about what I went through except for like my close friends. Nobody knew about it. It was just a rough time period. It was really, really, really rough. I slowly stopped hanging out with friends. I isolated myself from everyone pretty much. I didn't go out anymore. I was scared to. I pretty much just kind of like went back into a depression. I was like a functioning depressed person pretty much. I was still doing everything in school. I was actually involved in an organization on campus where had an officer position, so I was busy in that. I was busy in work. You know, I was like just doing it, but social wise, stopped having a social life, isolated myself. At the time, I think at this time now, going through the probation period, I lived with my friend Cameron. I pretty much just hung out with my friend Cameron when we lived together, and that's pretty much it. And then maybe people from work here and there, but other than that, I didn't really, like, I wasn't as social as I used to be because I was kind of fearful and just, I don't know, worrisome, I guess. So that was like a rough time period that I went through. But I got through it. I graduated. I put all the DWI stuff behind me, learned my lesson from it, and literally am a stronger person because I went through that today. So I can look back at it now. Like, I still hate that it happened. I still hate that it's, you know, if someone does a background check on me, that's what's going to pop up. But I hope that my character speaks higher volumes than that little part in my life during college. You know, it was years ago. So I moved on. I'm a stronger person and a better person from it. So yeah, so I went through that. That was really, really hard. Woo! So yeah, fast forward, I ended up graduating college. No, I walked the stage. I didn't officially graduate. So I'm pretty much done. I just have to do an internship. I ended up doing my internship at Dillard's. It's not exactly what I wanted. I'm not even gonna lie. I really wanted to do something in product development, but I could not find any internships that were product development related. So I ended up just, you know, it got to the point where it's like, girl, you need to find an internship fast. So luckily I found one with Dillard's, and internship was awesome. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. Like, it was to be a manager. That's not really why I went to school, to be a retail manager, but I was open to it. I was like, you know what? Do what you gotta do, and you might end up loving it. Who knows? So I do my internship that summer. Internship went well. I interviewed at 2 stores. Both stores, you know, liked me and wanted to offer me a job as a manager. And I picked this one store. Now I'm kind of in a new phase of my life. So I love the job at first, and then the job starts to become toxic. I'm not gonna go into details about anything, but just know that it just started to become an environment that was very toxic for me. I went from one department, you know, started off kind of rough with some of the people, but eventually we all kind of meshed together as a team, and I felt like we were on a good road. Like, I got my team kind of in line, like, to get used to me, because, you know, I'm the new girl coming in as a manager. I'm young too, and they're probably looking at me like, who is this girl? I win them over for the most part. We end up becoming a team, you know, and we're getting our department together, but they ended up moving me to a different department, which put me... Guys, I'm sorry if my eyes are red. I think they're kind of irritated from something. I'm just happy that I have a job after college. I'm like, hey, it might not be what I thought I was going to be doing right now, but you know, you got to just start somewhere. I ended up loving the job at first, and then time goes on, and there was just some toxic people around me. Most of the people were cool, but there was just some toxic people around me that just made the job hard. I didn't feel like I was a part of like the management team as a whole. The job ends up becoming kind of toxic, I guess you could say. So, you know, I ended up being miserable, completely miserable. Oh my gosh. It got to the point where I was just so unhappy, and you could see it on my face. I couldn't even hide it anymore. And but you know, I was gonna power through it. I was like, you know what, I don't like this, but I was trying to wait on maybe getting promoted to a different position, so maybe like I could shift where I was working was around some of the certain people that I was around, and I felt like was just making things hard for me. So yeah, I was trying to be positive about it. Me and my friend Cameron, we lived together at that time. Our lease was about to end, so we both ended up finding our own places. For the first time, I was gonna have my own apartment. Like, I've had my own apartments, but I've always had a roommate too. But this was the first time where I was gonna just be living slowly, just me by myself. And I was so excited, y'all. I found this apartment that fit my budget. I remember I was looking at the apartments online. They looked good. The model looked good. I went to see them in person. Model looked, it was cute, you know. I was like, okay, cool. I get my unit. My unit don't look like the model at all, but I'm like, you know what? This'll do. I'll make it homey. I still was happy about it. So my brother helped me move in, I remember. Then the next week my mom comes and she, you know how moms like, they deep clean, like you think you deep clean, your mama gonna clean the ceiling. Like she doesn't come in there and do her mom thing. So my mom helps me like get settled in. She's like deep cleaning everything, like things I would never think. And even when I move into a place, I know somebody else lived here before, so I need to like bleach everything to make sure it's good to go. I know to do that, but like my mom was like in there, you know. I remember I was asleep and she was still up cleaning, and she calls me, she wakes me up, she's like, Savannah, come look at this. And we find like mold in the closet. We start looking closer. We notice there's like baby roaches painted in the walls. There's like baby roaches in the fridge. I mean, it's like from afar, like from the surface of it, things look okay. It's like, okay, cool. You know, it's a cool little apartment. It's cool. But when you start looking up close, you start seeing all those things. And then I start getting sick every time I come into the apartment. I start feeling sick. And I think it was from, basically that unit was roach infested, and thank God I had never had to live with roaches. So I was like, I ain't never had to live with roaches, and I'm not starting today. So I'll be damned if I live in this place. So I tried to basically get out of the lease. Like my mom did research on like how to go about getting out of a lease, because this was turned into like a health issue. There's mold in the apartment. There's dead roaches that y'all failed to, you know, you didn't even try. It's like, really? So we tried to get out of the lease. Of course, you know, they ain't not gonna let you get out their lease, whatever. But yeah, so I ended up staying with my friend Kalish like for a month straight. So I still had my apartment, but I refused to stay there, so like sleep there. So what I would do is just go like grab some clothes, because I didn't even unpack, y'all, but I would like grab some clothes and I'd go to Kalish's and sleep there basically. It was crazy. But yeah, so I basically was at a point in my life where shit just was not going my way. Like shit was just going downhill. I'm sorry for my language, but that's pretty much what was happening. I was trying to fight it. I was like, you know what? You know, work is bad, but you know what? I'm gonna fight through it. I'm gonna power through this time period, because guess what? It's gonna get better when I get this promotion. I was like, oh, if I could get a promotion, things will get better. I could still grow with the company, you know, grow as a you know, professional in the industry. But then the thing with the apartment didn't get any better. They didn't let me out of my lease. And I was just kind of like at rock bottom in a sense. Not financially, but just like where my life was going. And like just everything that was happening. And my mom, like she kept telling me, she was like, Savannah, you know, if you want to come home, like you can do that. You can come home. And I was just like, no, I don't want to come home. Not doing it. I was like so against it. And then I really just started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I think this is another one of those moments where I'm trying to fight this. Like I'm trying to fight to stay here. I'm trying to fight to not have to go back home. But I was just like, you know what? Maybe this is God telling me, girl, this is not for you. This is not for you. You need to go and regroup. So I give in and I said, okay, fine. I'm just going to move home. I make the decision to quit my job. Didn't have anything lined up. Just quit my job. We move my stuff out of that apartment and I come back to my hometown and come and live with my mom. So this brings me back home, which I was not happy about, but I was like, you know what? Make the best out of it. So I ended up moving back home, and I find a job, which I'm still working that same job now, like 2 years later, I'm still there. And I make really good money. And my goal is just really to just save up, and whenever I'm ready to go back, I will go back. But for now, this is where I'm at. And for a while, I felt bad about it, because I'm like, oh, I'm moving back home. Like, oh, you know, people are going to judge me. And now I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm happy that I made this decision. It was the best decision I could have made for myself. And now I'm just in a position where I'm trying to really figure out, like, what do I want to do, like career-wise, like long-term, what do you want to do? Because you got to find what makes you happy. Because if you work a job just because for the money, like I know you have to do what you have to do sometimes, but if you have the opportunity to do what you love, I say go for it. So moving back home allowed me to also start my YouTube channel, which I had always wanted to do since like 2014. I was like, I want to do YouTube, but I always felt like I had to have a fancy camera, and I'm not ready to do it yet, but I wish I would have done it back then. But if I wouldn't have moved back home, I wouldn't have started this channel. I know I wouldn't have had the time to start it. So I barely have the time to do it now, but like it was just a blessing. So it ended up working out. As far as anxiety and depression, is still something that I definitely deal with, but I've learned to kind of deal with it in a healthier way. I can catch myself when I'm falling. I feel like everything happened for a reason. So I just wanted to share some things that I have been through. Hopefully it helps you. If you can relate to anything, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, more so of like how to deal with anxiety and depression and things like that, let me know and I'll try to make more things. I also am still working on dealing with those types of things. I think I'm gonna actually try to find a counselor so I can just like express my feelings about things, and I think that'll be healthier for me too. Also this, like doing YouTube and talking about this is really therapeutic for me. So yeah, I just say don't keep everything bottled in. Like find someone that you trust to talk to things about, and that has been really helpful, and I think that'll help you out a lot. So yeah, just let me know if you want to see anything else, or if you have any questions, or if you just want to tell me about your story. Let me know in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend, especially maybe somebody who, you know, needs some motivation or needs to hear someone's story. Share it with them, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.